Last week I asked you guys on Instagram, the Swedish language, to ask me questions about Norse mythology, and we would do a Q&A video, and here we are. This is said Q&A video. Let's do this.
Oi! My name is not Sven, it is Martin, yeah.
Alright, and the first question comes from the great Chimera? I once read on a comment section of an old video of yours that Norse mythology gods are equivalent to Greek and Roman gods. Is this true? Do students in Swedish school learn something about that in history? And as a second question, which kind of relates to that as well, from Chris Jarris, is it Norse mythology a proper subject at school, or at least they learn about them in school, even if Sweden is a Christian country? Okay, so and we'll get to that question, that last one, in a bit. We do learn about Norse mythology in Swedish classes, at least when I was a kid, or at least when I was in school. We would learn what they were and the fact that people believed in those gods and how they relate to the Roman and the Greek god. I think that, I believe that most religions have these core subjects of what is good and what is evil, stuff that relates to agriculture, to going to war, to death, to life, all of that. There's a god, or there's an equivalence to something within religion that relates to our understanding of those subjects. It's like a paternal or maternal figure, which isn't the person that gave birth to you, but something else to make you try to understand how the world works. Sarah Sigma writes, how do you pronounce these freaking names? Well, depends on if you're Swedish, Danish, Norwegian, English, Greek, or whatever you are. Yeah, but some of them are really tricky. I can agree with that. The second part, did the Viking and Scandinavian in general, were they okay with literally living on the dead body of a giant? So if you haven't seen the creation story of Norse mythology in my first video in that series, yes, the world was created after Odin and his two brothers killed this giant and then placed certain parts of the body of the giant to make up like the oceans and the sky and the earth and the mountains and the woods. So I guess we're okay. Could be worse. Luktala writes, which god is your favorite and why? I think actually, and this is a weird coincidence with the video from last week where me and Samantha talked about the children's book about Bragi. I think Bragi is actually my favorite god because he is the god of well-spoken, but he's also like the perfect host. He welcomes people, he makes sure everyone is okay, they sit by the table, he gives great speeches, obviously. Oscar Espana writes, why did Swedish people started following the Christian faith? That is obviously a very, very big question, and this begins probably in around the 9th century. Sweden was actually the last country in the Nordics to be converted into Christianity. Denmark was first, and then Norway and Sweden. I mean, it had to do with a lot of things. The first people that were actually converted for the missionaries were people who worked in trade harbors, like Birka, for example, but also people in power, because the missionaries realized that in order to be safe in what they were doing, they would have to have protection from people who did not share this faith. And also, Norse mythology was very unorganized in a way. It was very spread out, and it was sort of worshipped in very different ways. And here you have the whole full package with Christianity, where you have like a calendar, so you know which dates to worship certain things. You also had similar, like there were like these combinations of the god when it came to like agriculture and home and war. So you had these common senses in both of these religions and faiths. And of course, I mean, in a way, it's also political. I'm pretty sure that the people that ruled the different kingdoms wanted to be on the right side of things and not have the anger from Rome and stuff happening. And maybe for them, it wasn't as important of how people or who people worshipped, but more like, let's keep everything in order, because again, with this package, you have church, you have hierarchy and all of that. Not always for the good, that's for sure. But still, it was more structured in a way. The full package was already there. Next question is from Vil Hjalmar 12. I've read quite a few things about Norse mythology, and I always end up with the same doubt. Has the Ragnarök already happened? I mean, the Eddas explain what happens during and after the Great War and who dies. Do we know all those things because of premonition of the future, or did those things already happen? I am confused because in case the Ragnarök happened, then people used to pray to gods that were supposed to be dead. Yeah, I think that the story of before and after Ragnarök is something of a... It's one of those space-time continuing thing where you kind of have the entire arc of the story, but you still believe in certain things, even though some of the gods were dead, and then they weren't dead and they were brought back to life. It kind of depends on where you land in the story, because obviously some of these will have more significance after Ragnarök, like Magne, for example, one of the people who inherits Thor's hammer, Mjolnir. But I think, in a way, you don't look at the entire story of Norse mythology as this is where we are now. We don't compare it in the same way as this is where we are right now in history. It's more of like a full story where you pray to and you worship certain parts of that story. Whether that's a premonition, I mean, we know what happened after Ragnarök, but we still follow the story of what happened before that because we choose to believe that. So it doesn't fall into the simple like chronological order of things. It falls into a sense of who I am and which gods in Norse mythology reflects what I want to do on this earth. Nordic Goalie writes, are there any Swedes who still worship Odin? I'm pretty sure there are. I think there were talks about building a church or building a place of worship, Norse mythology-wise, on Iceland. Because for me, I mean, religion is a big thing. Because, like I said before, it's a way to kind of understand your place in the world here. And I would hope that most religions have the sort of the set goal for people to do good. I think that before, in a way, religion, and Christianity for sure, and certainly many others, were in a way a set system to keep us in check when it came to behave human and not be wildlings and savages. And obviously people still do things in the name of pretty much every religion and they justify that, but I think, I don't know, it's very complicated because we have so many ways of approaching religion. It's not like religion says this is how everyone should be. It's more like, how should I act with religion as a guidance, like a moral guidance towards my fellow humans and this earth. So I'm pretty sure that people are still worshipping Odin and those, but it's not something that is sort of out there. You don't hear any church bells ringing for it, or it's not in the calendar or stuff like that. So, but who knows? I mean, things might come back. And the last question is a video question from Hugo.
Hello from France, my name is Hugo and I have a question about Norse mythology. I wonder why Angel Gordian of the Bifrost and the Gordian of Asgard have 9 mothers. Thank you!
So yes, 9 sisters had a baby. But then again, you know, Loki turned himself into a horse, had sex with a horse, and they had an 8-legged horse baby, which became the coolest horse that Odin got to keep. So, why not? Norse mythology is really interesting, and I'm glad it's having a revive of late, where people are interested in it and people bring the stories back, because we don't have that much to base it on. That's the thing. It's really old as opposed to Christianity, where you have this big ass book with stuff to pick up on, whereas in Norse mythology you kind of have to base it on what we think we know and then kind of take it from there. If you want me to do more Norse mythology stuff, let me know in the comments. And if you haven't subscribed to this channel already, you really should, because we talk about Sweden, we talk about Swedish culture, we talk about the Swedish language. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.